Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm back officially. It's Monday, the 9th of January, and today's my official first day at work, although I was slightly back at work last week. So it's lovely to be back. It really is. And I'm not going to lie, I'm hoping that you can see there is a complete change in energy with me. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that my son is now being home educated. We've had what I can only describe as quite a tricky 16, maybe longer months. It's been not the easiest time, mostly for him, to be honest, more than anyone else. And although this decision has been in the works for quite some time, we've long known that home education was something that we would most likely end up doing. My son, up until recently, wanted to go to school, and that changed. And we persisted for a little while because obviously it's quite a big decision and it has to be the right one. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't impulsive, it wasn't done just on, being a bit fed up with school or anything like that, but it needs to be something that is the right choice for him, for us, for all of us. So it's taken a little bit of time, and I'm not going to lie, it's not been the easiest decision. So even though it was something we wanted to do, we have felt some resistance to it. We felt quite anxious about it. Things like the financial aspect of it, the time aspect of it, and how it's going to work. But since leaving school on Friday, there has been this overwhelming sense of relief and freedom. It's been, and I think that's for all of us. So that's been great, and I think that this is probably is going to have an impact on the way that I run my business as well. Obviously, it means that my time is going to be structured a bit more differently, and it means that I have to run my business more efficiently. And that is not a bad thing, since I'm not very efficient. Well, actually, I say that. No, I'm not organized, but I am quite efficient. I do get things done in the shortest and easiest time possible because that's what I like to do. So I'm back. I'm happier and I'm more at peace. My son is radiating joy, and that is pretty much all I want for him, really. And he's got dreams. He knows what he wants to do, and we're just going to work towards it. So that's great. So on that note, what am I working towards? Well, I think it's really important as business owners, entrepreneurs, and people in general, actually, whether or not you're in business, to understand what it is you're aiming for in life. And a while ago, I was about a year and a half ago, I invested in some life coaching with Pete Cohen to kind of look at the future self. And with one thing and another, I was not able to complete it yet. Still going to do it, still doing it, still working on it, because it's really important, and a lot of it focuses on the future you. Now, one of the other things that I do in my business when I'm doing brand building and brand recognition is looking at brand messaging. Now, I've signed up for a speaker academy later this month, and one of the things that we're doing is looking at our core message. And I find core message to be a really powerful way to solidify your message, solidify your branding, solidify your creatives, solidify your business, and just kind of bring things into kind of one ecosystem, if you will. So it doesn't matter if you've got like lots of different products or services and you're trying lots of different things, or you're pivoting, or whatever it is you're doing. What matters is that you have a core message that you are wanting to, I don't know, develop and share into the world. So I thought what I would do, since this is my first post of the year, is tell you mine. You don't have to listen. You don't have to watch. You might be interested. You might not be. But I'm going to tell you mine because I want to talk about it and just kind of clarify some of those ideas that I've got in my head. So essentially, one of the core aspects of my message is also my word of the year. So my word of the year is create, but my core message includes the word creativity. And one of the reasons that I've got create as my word of the year is that I'm basically focusing this year on making things and producing things and putting them out into the world. I've been doing it for years anyway, but I'm going to make it my focus. My focus is to create and add to the world. I want to add something to the world. But when it comes to my main message, I want to enable people to think more creatively, feel more creative, be more creative, and accept that creativity is an innate part of the human existence, even if you think you're not creative. This to me is so huge. So many people misunderstand creativity as something that is like artistry or mastery in some incredible skill, but that's not what creativity is. Creativity is very simply a way of thinking. It's working through problems, it's finding solutions, it's experimenting with ideas, it's trying things out, it's being uncertain. Right. So creativity is being uncertain, and that uncertainty helps us grow. And this brings me back to another core part of my main message. And before I actually tell you, I want to tell you something that's bothered me since I was a child. When I was a child, I was really bothered by, because I was growing up in the 80s, and in the 80s there was a lot of media about starving children in Africa. And I remember thinking, but some of those children, probably have I wasn't thinking in these words because I was quite young, but some of these children have the potential to perhaps, cure cancer, or, fly us to somewhere, or, create some incredible work of art, or, but they don't have access to, water, food, education, support networks. So all of that potential disappears. Another thing that bothered me was the fact that for hundreds of years, and still today in many parts of the world, women have not been able to access education. They've not been able to work. They've not been able to build lives for themselves and contribute to society unless it's been to support the family, which is a massive, huge contribution, that has been consistently undervalued for years. But it bothered me that 50% of the population had their potential curtailed, or sent in a direction that perhaps didn't always suit them. And there were answers to questions there that were never realized. Over the course of human history, millions of people have lived and died, and because of circumstances, whether that's health, economy, culture, society, whatever it is, that potential has remained untapped, and that has always greatly saddened me. And when I was working in early years education, the thing that drove me more than anything else was the potential within every single tiny human being that I worked with. They came in with their personalities, their curiosities, their anxieties, their things that they loved, their favorite toys, the things that they hated. They came in with all of this, their whole lives, the whole experience, people they liked, people they didn't like, the whole experience, like adults, but with a child's mind, right? They've got all of that. They've already got baggage, little kids. They do. They come in with all of this stuff, but they are so open and so curious and so inquisitive. And they don't know most of the rules because we haven't put them in place yet. And so they just do things, they say things, they experience things, they live their lives in a way that feels right for them. And I loved that. And I loved the potential that these children had. And as an educator, I wanted to, as much as possible, release that potential and allow children to flourish. And for a while I blogged about it, I talked about it, I did training sessions on it, I built workshops on it, I developed resources on it. I was and still am incredibly passionate about education, learning, and potential, which brings me back to the other point of my core message, which is about learning. And to me, learning is not about just, collecting knowledge. It's about collecting knowledge, developing understanding. It's about meeting challenges and overcoming them in some way. It's about making mistakes and avoiding those same mistakes again. But learning is also about enabling others to learn, because the more we learn and the more we enable others to learn, the more we learn. And we have this compounding effect. And this is another thing that has fascinated me for so many years, is that throughout human history, we have built this system where we teach the next generation things, and so they get a kind of shortcut, if you will, because they don't have to learn it. We teach them it, and on that shortcut, on that knowledge that we hand down, the next generation is able to build on that, and they learn new things, and they pass down that next knowledge, and over and over and over again we build that knowledge up so that we grow as a species, I suppose. We grow and we evolve and we develop, and we have this huge potential, coming back to potential, to do more, because as we learn, we create, right? And as we create, we develop, and we end up creating more potential, right? And then we learn more and we create more and we get more potential. And it's this loop between creativity, learning, and potential that is I would say the thing that drives me more than anything, is to enable people to, I'm not going to say fulfill their potential. I hate that, because I don't think you can fulfill the potential. Potential's not a cup that you fill. It's something that overflows and spews out. It's a volcano waiting to erupt, and then it erupts again. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going. And if we put a cap on potential, we stifle it. It suffocates. It can't breathe. It never fully dies. It never dies. But as soon as we release it, there is so much opportunity there. And that comes through learning and creativity. When I'm working in Postergrid, one of the things that I love the most is this moment, and it happens at different stages for each Postergridder, but there's this moment where either people who are already view themselves as creative will be like, oh my God, this has, released so much creativity. I can now create so much content so much more easily. It opens the doors to creativity. It opens the doors to content creation. It creates this potential, right? And for those people who don't identify as creative, or don't view themselves as creative, or think that creativity somehow means that they need to be more artistic, which it doesn't. Artistry is just an expression of creativity, just a single expression. There are so many other ways to be creative. You can be mathematically creative, scientifically creative. You can be culinarily. Oh my God, is that a word? Food creative, right? You can be creative in so many ways. You do not have to be, and you don't have to be a master in any of these things to be creative. I can play music. I can create music. I can make food. I can follow recipes. I can create recipes. I can do all of these things. I'm not a master at any of them, but I can do them. I can draw pictures. So I can write. So I can do things, right? I can do all of these things, but I don't have to be a master at any of them to be able to create. And this is so powerful. In the act of creating, we open the doors for others to have the potential to ask questions, to see other ways. And in sharing what we learn, in sharing what we create, we generate potential and we grow. And it's this beautiful ecosystem where it is not just ourselves that blooms and grows and blossoms and feels better about life because we see so much more. It's the people around us too. And I have noticed over the last few years, the more I post, the more I get, messages saying, oh, I don't usually comment on your posts, or I don't do this, but I really like what you said about this, or that's made me think about that, or whatever it is. And these messages mean more to me than anybody could ever know. Because sometimes when I'm writing, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe I won't post it. Maybe I won't, but I have to. I don't have to at all. I choose to. I choose to do that because that's my way of learning. Every time I post something, somebody somewhere comments something that either misunderstands what I've said, and so it makes me double check what I've read, or allows me to see how my words can be perceived from another perspective, which is really important, because anytime we write something or say something or create something or produce something, as soon as we put it out into the world, it doesn't belong to us anymore. Other people are going to read it, and they will read it as themselves, with their own interpretations, their own feelings, and their own histories, and their own backstories, and their own futures, and their own hopes. And they will read it differently to how we've written it. No matter how perfectly written it is, it's never going to be viewed in 100% the same way as we intend. It can be viewed very closely to as we intend, but it's never going to be 100%. And that, again, is part of that creative cycle. I am waffling, I know, because I haven't been live for so long. I haven't produced a video on YouTube for ages. I'm streaming over on YouTube as well. And basically, I just want to talk passionately about my message, and that is to find that space between creativity, learning, and potential that sets people free. And I think we can get locked in what we should be doing, what we want to do, what we need to do. We get locked in we need to provide for our families. What will people say if? What will people think if? None of it really matters, because they're not living your life. And at the end of the day, we're just all going to die. That might sound really morbid, but it's true. And I don't want to die having not lived my potential, having not created something that has had some kind of impact on somebody somewhere. That's it. That's it. It's all I want to do. And if anybody else wants to create something, whether it's a business, whether it's a piece of poetry, whether it's a book, I want to be there to get that out into the world. Whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're helping people with social media, whether you're helping people with law, whether you're helping people with accounting, whatever that is, that requires a level of commitment and courage that not a lot of people are able to access. And when we do access that kind of that space where we just say, right, I am going to go out into the world and do this, that's where we enter this major cycle of learning, creativity, and potential. And I would love it if we could get that kind of cycle. I don't really know how to explain it perfectly yet, because I've not worded it well, spinning so rapidly that it shoots off in all directions, and those sparks fly and hit people who don't have the same opportunities perhaps as I do, or as others do. I mean, I know, like, in the world there are people who have, I saw this post actually earlier by Janet Murray. I think Amanda Leake shared it, and Amanda Murray was talking about privilege, right? And how some people have a better education, maybe, more supportive family, more money, whatever it is. But some people will have a better start in life than others. And this is seen as a privilege. And she wrote that, hardship and challenge can also be a privilege. And I thought that was a really interesting perspective. And I agree with it, because it's through our challenges and through our hardships and through the pain that we feel in our lives that we are able to see things in a different way than others see them. And we build up a way to move forward that we wouldn't have otherwise. Now, I didn't have the easiest time when I was, younger. I went through quite a rough time. And, I didn't think I would ever get to the other side of it, to be honest. I really didn't. I believed deep down that I would. I knew there would be this point that it would be 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, or 20 years from now, where I would look back on that time and it would be some distant story. I knew it would happen, but I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't feel it. And I just desperately wanted that to be, I wanted to be at that stage. But to get to that stage, I had to live through it, and I had to find a way to navigate that pain so that I could live. And even though I would never wish that pain on anybody else, not my worst enemy, and certainly not on myself, right? I would never wish it. I would never want to relive it, not in a million years. But the learning that I gained from it is actually, you could say, a certain kind of privilege, because there have been other times that have been hard, or that have been difficult, or that have been really, a huge, quite a significant struggle. But because of that pain many years ago, what I was experiencing was nothing like that. So I knew I could get through it. So it's a strange thing, right? It's a strange thing that we go through in life. And I know many people have challenges and stories that completely shape the way that they move through life. And if you're going through a time now that is hard, or that is a struggle, it's transient. It does change step by step. Every time you take a step forward and you learn something new, or create something new, or move towards something that feels true to your potential, whatever that might be, whether it's cooking, a baked potato because you really fancy a baked potato, or whether it's painting, a masterpiece, whatever it is you want to do, doesn't matter. What matters is that you do something that means something to you because you want to do it. You're creating something for the sake of creating something. And if you create it to share with the world, that does take courage, not going to lie. It's scary. It can be really scary to do. I've got poster gridders who've created their poster grids, and some of them haven't posted yet because there is a resistance to it. There is a nervousness about it. I understand it massively. And it's a really interesting transition to create and put out into the world. It's a really interesting one. And it's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to working on this year, is to helping people get past that kind of leap, because what people create is so magnificent. They create things that they doubt it. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe I made this. That's magic to me. That's what I want. I want to create opportunities where people do something and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And that's what I want to do. I want to give people that feeling over and over and over and over again. So that's my message. I'm all about creativity. I was afraid for years of labeling myself a creative because I didn't think I was creative enough, because what I was doing was seeing other people's level of creativity and thinking that that was creative, and therefore I wasn't. What I didn't see was my own potential, right? And actually, interestingly, somebody wrote a comment this morning on one of my posts, and I'd said, one of the cool things that you can do on Instagram is you can go and look at people in your industry who are absolutely killing it. They're rocking it, right? And you can go and you can have a look at their account. You can be like, well, what are they doing that the audience loves? What are they doing that my audience or my future customers could really benefit from? What are they doing that I disagree with, right? That I can write about? Because all of that, this is not about copying what other people are doing. This is about finding inspiration and also seeing that a future for yourself is possible. Because if somebody else can do it, and you've already got your voice, your experience, your tone, your feelings, your emotions, your dreams, you've got all of this, it doesn't matter that somebody else in the same industry is, they've been doing it for 10, 15 years, and so they're quite a way ahead of you. That doesn't matter. You're on a different path, but you can take inspiration from that, rather than feeling smaller than them, or less able than them, or not good enough to actually go after the same customers as them. What you can see is the potential to be you as them, right? That to be fully you. It's just potential. When somebody else is succeeding, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you can succeed too. It is a beautiful thing to see people in your industry flying, because when they are flying, it tells you absolutely that there are people in the world that need you. So go out there, be inspired, create, and change the world. And on that note, I'm going to disappear. Oh, comments. Sorry, I wasn't looking at my comments. I wasn't looking. Oops. sure you've made the right decision. Thank you, Rachel. I have. That was ages ago, wasn't it? Afternoon. Love your pink too. Oh, pink top. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I like this one too. Your passion shines through. Love this message. Thank you, Emily. That's very kind. I am very excited today to be back at work, full of energy with my child at home, safe and at peace. And I'm not sitting here anxious, worrying about him all day long. So that's a luxury. So take care, everyone. I will see you all on another day, probably tomorrow. I'm probably going to start doing something like coffee, because I used to do school run live. So I might do coffee morning live instead. That's way better. All right. See you all later. Take care. Bye.